All right, the last time we learned this Sicha of the Lubavitcher Rebbe in Chelik Daled. It's talking about the manna. We are now here in Israel. We're learning Parshat Behaalotecha. Outside of Israel, they're still reading Parshat Nosoi. And in Behaalotecha, there's this unusual story about manna that fell down. Interestingly enough, it's not called manna anywhere in the Torah. It's called man. Where they get this idea of manna? Why it's called manna, I have no idea. Probably the same place they got Deuteronomy and Leviticus and these things. But anyway, Red Sea. So where did this manna fall? It fell every day except for Shabbat. And one place it says it fell far away from the camp of the Jews. One place it says it fell right outside of the camp. And another place it says that it fell in the camp. And the Gemara answers that really it fell all three places, but for different people. The not good people, the evil people, the sinners, they had to go far away to get it. I don't know why they didn't, if they were sinners, why they didn't just grab the manna that was near to them, but maybe they didn't see it, maybe it was concealed from them, I don't know. Nevertheless, for the sinners, their manna fell far away. And for the ordinary Jews, their man fell right outside the camp. They didn't have to go so far. And for the tzaddikim, the righteous Jews, it fell in the camp. In fact, it fell right next to their homes. And this also answers why sometimes it says that the man had to be cooked, and sometimes it says it had to be ground and then cooked, and some places it just says they just ate it. It says that's also the same dichotomy between the tzaddikim. They found it right next to their homes, already cooked and made. They could just eat it. And the ordinary Jews, they found it right outside of the camp, and it was like dough. They had to cook it. And the not good Jews, they couldn't find it near their homes, and they also couldn't find it ready. They found it far away, and it was also like whatever it is. It had to be ground up anyway. It had to be ground up, and then it could be kneaded, and then it could be eaten for the evil people. Says the Rebbe, but nevertheless, even the evil people, and they stayed evil people, they remained evil people, even though they had to go far away and etc. I guess it was worth their while to be evil people. It's fun to be evil. Or they couldn't stop themselves. Who knows what it is? But the man continued to be far away from them. Says the Rebbe, interestingly enough, the man had an effect on everyone who ate it. To the point where it says, Lo nitna Torah ela la'ochli aman. The Torah was only given to people who ate this man. What was man? Man was bread from heaven. It was without any waste whatsoever. Ordinary bread, you eat bread. Right? You have a big piece of bread, a nice big steak. Who would dream that in that bread, in that steak, is waste? That you have to go to the bathroom and it smells terrible. Who would dream there is such a thing? But the fact is there is. In man there wasn't. People ate man and it became totally absorbed in their limbs. There was no waste whatsoever. It was bread from heaven, to the point that some say that when they ate this man, they made a blessing. Baruch atah Hashem hamotzi lechem min hashamayim. That you brought bread from heaven. So this man had an effect on everyone that ate it. Therefore, says the Rebbe, we can understand an interesting thing, that there's Reb Saadia Gaon, one of the Gaonim. He lived like 1,000 years ago. And he said that if a Jew is found somewhere and he's got a Sefer Torah, and he has absolutely no idea what day of the year it is, or what season of the year it is, doesn't know what, he's in a cave with a Sefer Torah. He doesn't know how long he's been there, he doesn't know when he got there, and he doesn't know what Parsha it is to read, what he should read on Shabbat. So he said he should read this, talking about the man. Because that's the most important Torah reading in the Torah. Says the Rebbe, does that really make sense? I mean, what? says, no. There's also another thing, that the man, everyone agrees that the man, this law of the man was given on Shabbos. The Shabbat. It says over there, what is it? Al tochlu ayom Shabbat ayom lo mitzvah b'Shabbat. It says today is Shabbat. Moses gives them the commandment of the man, and it says, but today don't go out and collect it. Today is not going to be in. And of course, people went out and collected it anyway. But everyone agrees that this law of the man was given on Shabbat. So therefore, we read, if you don't know what Torah portion to read, and you have a Torah portion, you read this portion of the man. So says Rabbi Sadia Gaon. Says the Rebbe, well, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, the Torah itself was given, the 10 Commandments were given on Shabbat. Everyone agrees. Why not read that? That's more important. Says the Rebbe, no. The whole essence of the Torah can be summed up in the man. What was this man? Man was bread from heaven that came down into the earth. People ate it and it had an effect on them. Some effect, purified them. The same thing with the Torah. If a person learns the Torah, automatically it has an effect on him. It fixes him up automatically. Like the man did. 5%, 10%, 15%. The rest you have to do yourself. But nevertheless, it fixes you up somewhat. Says that is what the Shabbat and the man have in common. Namely, that they are both from heaven. You don't have to do anything. Just experience it, and it automatically has an effect on your whole being. Good? We're on page 19. Ne'emar, it is said, Vayechulu washamayim v'chol tzavahum. It says, what? There was completed the heavens and the earth and all of their hosts. What do you mean all their hosts? All the stars, all the planets, all the galaxies, the nebulae, all the bugs and all the amoebas and all the atoms, all the quarks. Everything was completed before Shabbat came in. B'Shabbat omedet habriya kula b'kilyon l'kodesh baruch hu. The word vayechulu means to be finished. The word vayechulu also means to expire. You know, like people in Yiddish, they call it chalasht. The people go crazy for money. Oy, like a dog with a bone. You ever see? People go berserk. If they think that they're going to win, they're going to get something for anything. Doesn't make any difference what. And they want to get it. That's like kiloyon. Vayechulu hashamayim v'ortz. The heavens and the earth had this kiloyon. They had this tremendous, how do you say, surge of love and desire for the Creator. The Creator. They felt that they were being created. Right? You can see somebody saves someone's life. Right? Saves life. The guy is drowning, or this person's child is drowning. Someone jumps in and saves him. Thank you. Right? There's not enough words to say thank you. He gives him money, he invites him to all the weddings and everything. There's not enough thanks I can give you. Saved my son's life. Well, here Hashem, God is creating us all the time. He's creating our children, creating everything. So, but we don't feel it. But the Shabbat did feel it. When the day of Shabbat came, the whole entire creation was grateful. That makes sense? Not so much, but that's the fact. The whole entire creation was grateful to the Creator. That's Shabbat. Vayachulu. Everything was, how do you say, gratitude. Total surrender. Ein mashmuut davar sha'olam mitbatel. It doesn't mean that the world stopped being in existence. Shabbat is not the day when you just sit in your room like a whale or something and go, right? Shabbat, you pray, you eat, you sing, you dance. Ela sha'olam, but the world, the whole entire world, shehu kamoshu mit'aleh, it elevates itself. Umitromem, and it becomes higher. What does it mean it becomes higher? What does it mean elevated? Right? If I say to you, you see this microphone over here? It says, well, this microphone was the first microphone ever used. It was used by the Rambam, this microphone, by Maimonides. Before there was even electricity, he invented the first microphone. And then from that it was given to Leonardo da Vinci. He used it. This microphone really, all of a sudden it becomes tremendously important. Wow, this is really amazing. Right? You see this hat? I thought it was a regular hat. This was worn by, King George or something, in his inauguration, from the Normans or this. All of a sudden people, you know how much that thing is worth? If it's really true what you say, you know how much that is worth? They've been looking for this. Right? Let's do DNA on there. There's a little bit of his hairs there. Wow, this thing must be worth, for a collector, $10 million. You thought it was a regular hat. All of a sudden it becomes this precious hat. Don't touch that hat. Where did you find that? It's the same thing, the whole entire creation, right? It's a piece of junk, the whole creation. You know who this creation is? This is an original God. Right? Like an original Picasso. Original Picasso. The thing is worth $50 million at least. Original Picasso, you sure? Right? You look in the corner, it says Sam Picasso. This is not a Picasso. This is not original. His name is Pablo, not Sam. It's a different guy. It says yes. If it's genuine, this is a mistake. Somebody would made a joke. They would, let's see, erase the Sam. Underneath Pablo. Ooh, it's worth $50 million. This world, you thought it was the whole world was just a nothing. All of a sudden you realize that God's signature is everywhere. Ooh, it's a new world. Suddenly you realize everything is special, everything. God really made this ant. He really made this fantastic. That's supposed to be the day of Shabbat. Godliness is available. The world is more transparent. Sha'olam, as it is, mit'aleh, it raises up. That's what it's called, raising up. It has more value, importance. Lochach, therefore, halacha yitzallah, sha'shabbat mitzvah ango ba'achila v'shtiyah. On Shabbat, it is a commandment to eat and drink. Tainuk sha'aram ba'achila v'shtiyah gashmit b'shabbat. Pleasure that a person gets from physical food and drink. Of course, don't overdo it, but you still have to have pleasure from physical things. Lo rak achila v'shtiyah elo tainuk atzmo. Not only just the eating and the drinking, but the pleasure itself that you get from this becomes a mitzvah. Like I say, you have to not overdo it. It is definitely a mitzvah to have a good meal and to have a good drink and to enjoy yourself. But you have to eat the meal. The meal should not eat you. There's a story about the Baal Shem Tov that he took his pupils on a Shabbat and he told them to look in the window. There was maybe a warm day and the windows were open. And there they looked in the window and they saw a Chassid, a tzaddik echad with a shtreimel on, and he's eating cholent. And before their very eyes, he transformed into an ox. An ox with a shtreimel and all the garments and everything. An ox, they couldn't believe it. Eating cholent. And the Baal Shem Tov said, where the will of a person is, that's where he is. He's so much into eating this meat that the meat is actually eating him. So you have to watch out with this pleasure idea. But nevertheless, doesn't mean you should not get pleasure on Shabbat. You should, but just don't overdo it. The pleasure on Shabbat becomes part of the world and the whole world gets elevated. It says in another place that the eating on Shabbat is like the prayer of the regular the regular days of the week. In the weekdays, the eating and drinking of a person has to be only b'midah drusha l'kiyum guf. You have to only eat as much as you need for your health. V'gam elu lo tainug shabem. And also, when you eat, it should not be for the pleasure that it's in. It's not bad to have pleasure from your food, but don't live for the pleasure. Don't eat in order to get pleasure. Shehu megashem, because the pleasure in the food makes a person thick. Lo kein b'Shabbat, it doesn't happen on Shabbat. On Shabbat, if you get pleasure from the food, it does not make you insensitive. Lo zu bilavad, not only that the pleasure does not make you coarse, megashem, like it says, perish chagechem ne'amar, lo perish chagechem, perish shavtechem, like it says, the excrement of your holidays, it says, but not the excrement of your Shabbat. In other words, Shabbat is more of a commandment to have pleasure from the food. On the Yom Tov, it's more of a commandment to have fun, simcha, joy. Shabbat to have pleasure. Ela adarabah, pleasure itself is a commandment. And again, I don't want to stress too much. I can't stress too much the importance of don't overdo it. What is a chassid? A chassid is a person that does not fool himself. Or a Shabbat, the light of Shabbat, choder b'kol habriya. It permeates the whole entire creation. Ad until shafilu rasha gamor einu meshaka b'Shabbat. It says that even a total evil person, a compulsive liar, finds it difficult to lie on Shabbat. V'im zot ein pirush hadavar sheb'Shabbat mitorer b'tshuva. It doesn't mean that this compulsive liar, he stops lying totally, v'chadal miot rasha, and he stops being a selfish, evil person. Shechem medubar kan, we're talking about here, mishin nishar kafishu admol, the person like eating the man, right? It has a certain effect on him. The Shabbat has an effect on a person, but what? It has a 10% effect, a 15% effect. Im kol ze einu meshaka b'Shabbat. Nevertheless, on Shabbat, it is very difficult, if not impossible, for a liar to lie, a Jewish liar, to lie on Shabbat. Could be he makes it up on the regular days, but on Shabbat he finds it difficult. Mishum she'or Shabbat choder gam b'tachton yoter, because that's the idea of Shabbat. Shabbat is not just our heritage; it is our heritage, it's for sure, and it is not just a religious day that if you keep it you go to heaven. Could be that day also. I'm not an expert on heaven and hell. But one thing for sure that Shabbat is a day of appreciating the Creator of the universe through His creation. The Shabbat has an effect on us that we want to do so. We're more sensitive on Shabbat of the Creator. But just think about it. Why do people lie? Why do the people lie? They want something, and they figure that the way to get it is by lying. Okay, now 90% of the time, the thing that they want is not what they need. In other words, they want something, they think the only way to get it is by lying. It could be maybe they're right, could be that they're right, but usually a thing that they want that they can only get by lying, it's something that they totally don't need, and it could be something that's really bad for them. Number one. Number two, anything that a person really does need, he can get in an honest way. Anything that a person really needs, if you do what you have to do, Hashem will do what He has to do. If you really need it. If you need it for sure, God will provide it for you. So there's no need to lie. But in the middle of the week, he doesn't care, doesn't feel this. He feels only himself. And he says, if I want it, this is what I want. Right? That decides it. That's the end. If I want it. If I want something, it's good. On Shabbat, he feels that there is God. God is creating me. And he feels, listen, maybe I don't really need this thing that I want. Maybe a Borgati is not exactly, what I really need. Who am I really trying to impress? You know what I mean? Maybe I don't really need it. But on the weekdays, I gotta have that Borgati. And don't listen. Maybe I see you're not my friend. Anybody who tries to dissuade me, he's my enemy. You just don't want me to be suave. You don't want me to be. And there are people that are like that, right? But says the Rebbe, on Shabbat, they don't think that way. We're talking about a Jew. On Shabbat, suddenly they realize, wow, I'm really lucky just to be alive. I'm really lucky to be created. I'm really lucky to be, to be a Jew. I'm really lucky to be able to serve Hashem. I really appreciate just everything that I've got. Kilayon is going up. Or Shabbat choder b'kol habriya. Right, we said that. Lochi, and therefore, kishalo yada, if a person doesn't know which parsha to read on Shabbat, therefore you should read this section in the Torah of the man. Why? Because it's the same thing as Shabbat. Kolam shachot ba'olam hari makoram b'Torah. Everything that happens in the world happens through the Torah. Shalochi, and therefore, in order to affect the world, the inyan of Shabbat, she'hamata, that the physical world should be permeated with the light of Shabbat. Therefore, if you don't know what is the special topic, therefore, if you don't know what is the special nature of Shabbat, azayim ein yodim et inyan miyuchad shebetorah, you don't know which portion of the Torah to read on Shabbat, you have to read the general portion of Shabbat, which is what? Man. This week's portion, which talks about the man. Sheken gam man. Because also the man, we only have a couple of minutes. Because the mana has the same trait. It came down to the lowest levels, and it had an effect on them to purify them, which is not the case of the Ten Commandments or any other portion of the Torah, even though they're very, very high, but they do not show so much on being drawn down below, kafi shehein b'malatan, as they are above. Even the Ten Commandments, as they came down into the physical world, it says the people couldn't take it, their souls jumped out of their bodies, it was too much for them. The man came down, and not only did people eat it, did the people accept it, they even ate it, they lived from it. Let's take a break. Short break. You have all the pages?